So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, friends, depending on the location from where you are joining. And we had an excellent start for the IDPS 2021 Day 2 with the Cyber Cop, well-known Cyber Cop, Dr. Triveni Singh. Now we are continuing into the next session with the panel discussion on employee privacy and the role of HR in protecting the data privacy. To moderate this panel, we have our friend Dr. Rakesh Goyal. So I call him our friend and guru also for us. He has been into well-known figure into cybersecurity. So I have a kind of privilege to introduce him today. He is the managing director and principal consultant for Sysman Computers, and he has totally 46 years of experience. I think probably slightly higher now into this cybersecurity space. On academic side, he's a diploma in engineering with the graduation from AMI with the gold medal. He is also a gold medalist at IIM Bangalore for PGDM, and he is a PhD in cybersecurity. So on academic side, a very strong person to show us the way towards the data privacy part. On the professional side, he is a CISA, CSAM, CFE, CMC, CDPP, FISM, and so on and so forth. So n number of certifications. So probably need a few pages to put his certification through. He has written 6 books and 50 papers. I think Dr. A few more have been added by now. This is probably a slightly older one. On the professional front, as I said, he's got 46 years of experience, and he was a kind of ethical hacker back before 1998. Probably that time this word was not even that popular, being an ethical hacker. And he has specialties in business strategy and governance, information security audit and consulting, cyber forensics, that is one of the field he loves to work with, cyber law, privacy law, information technology related part, governance, strategy, software, overall planning, productivity, and he is also expert in business process engineering, industrial engineering, as well as project management. Now, apart from this professional career, he also got very interesting other interest and activities. He's a trained yoga teacher. He's a diploma in acupressure therapy, so he can use his doctor title even to start a clinic. And on a physical strong person, being a black belt in karate. And apart from this all interest, he also has keen interest in clean and green energy, RTI related activities, astronomy, and photography. And with this, I hand over the floor to Dr. Rakesh Goyal, and let's hear from the experts. Thank you.
Thank you. Anil Bhai, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Okay, thank you. Let's start. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are, as Anil has said. So, for mostly it is good noon. Namaskar, Pranam. So, today is privacy in HR. Today, we have a little restriction to collect personal data. And as Dr. Triveni Singh has said, that all the personal data along with their passwords and this and that is available in dark web or data brokers, which he was referring at Noida, but that Noida is repeated at n number of places. Even in Mumbai, Mira Road, etc., data brokers are there. I have interacted with such type of data brokers, that how to get a specific data, a specific filtered data, just as an interest, academic interest, not just to buy, because that's a criminal activity. So there is a little restriction to collect personal data, retain personal data, and use personal data in the organization. Nobody is bothered. Be it commercial organization, voluntary organization, trust, educational, political, government, or any other form of organization, where the data is on paper or digital or any other format, whether it is video, audio, or picture. But with PDPA coming, so still it is not what is the final version of the PDPA, but based on the last available version and what was told by Justice Shri Krishna yesterday and experience of the people with GDR compliance, we can see mammoth issues which will be faced by the organization. Some of these issues will be a paradigm shift from the current policies, practices, and it will be a Shirshashan effect. That means upside down. inside out of the box type of situation will be there. People will be totally scared that what is done if it is implemented rigorously. If it is not implemented rigorously, then it will be just like IT Act. It will be just like any other act. Nobody is bothered. Like ISO 27001 is available easily, so it will be just like that. Today, we will be discussing some or most of these issues which we can see through now, and based on some active practitioner of GDPR and other DP laws, data protection laws. Our discussion will be focused only towards issues related to organization HR and related policies, employees, and other concepts, that is legal, NDA, social, and culture, not any other issues which is related to marketing or any other thing. We have 4 distinguished and experienced panelists here. All of them are exposed to HR practices and privacy related to HR with experience in GDPR and other privacy law. But before I introduce the panelists, let me touch something, because in the morning I was hearing Prime Minister Modi when he was talking at Sydney Dialogue, and what he said in the morning is not only interest to us, but interest to larger IT and IT security and privacy fraternity. At the keynote address at Sydney Dialogue today 9 a.m. Normally I see TV at 9 to 9:05, 9:10, just news. But at that time Modi was, and so I heard him, and after that I played his video on computer and note down some points which are interest to us. Some of these relevant observations when he says in Sydney Dialogue, which is focused on emerging critical and cyber technologies. This is something news to me. At minute 2 in the dialogue, he says, now we face risks and new challenges related to seabed, cyber, and space. Technology has already been major instrumental of global competitive and key to shaping future international order of fine. But now this is important. Technology and data has become new weapons. This is what his statement is. The biggest strength of democracy is openness. At the same time, we should not allow few vested interests to misuse this openness. This is a big statement from a Prime Minister of India or from a big democracy. At minute 9, I ask all of you to just listen that 15 minutes talk, and you will learn a lot. What you will learn, I'll tell you. That friends, the greatest product of technology is data. We are talking about data, privacy, data related things. In India, we have created a robust framework of data protection, privacy, and security. This is what he said. And what Dr. Triveni Singh has said, just compare what is the ground reality. At the same time, we use the data as a source of empowerment of people. People have unmatched experience in doing this in democratic framework with strong guarantees of individual rights. This is the statement of Prime Minister of India. This means the government at effect level, this is my statement, is thinking the same as we are aspiring. But only difference is the speech writer and the policy makers are 2 different sets of people. It is a big disconnect. That is my FDPPI certification, A, E, and G, all the 3 certifications she has completed. I welcome Dina ji to this panel.
Thank you.
My second panelist is Mr. Vijay Sethi. Let me call him Vijay Bhai. Vijay Bhai is a technology and sustainable evangelist at Mentorcard, a technology and mentorship platform, and has been the CIO of Hero MotoCorp for a long time. He is an industry veteran with vast experience in global organizations such as Hero MotoCorp, Ranbaxy, and TCS. As part of his professional career, he has always held various industry positions, including chairman of SAP India user group, that is called Indus, chairman of IT committee of SIAM, that is Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers. This is the apex body of all automobile manufacturers in India. chairman of CSR committee of SIAM, member of various committees and subgroup of CII and other bodies over the years. This is what is written. But beyond written, what he has done in Hero MotoCorp is worth mentioning. He was there for around 2 decades, and he has implemented SAP in a way that Hero MotoCorp, that SAP is one of the best implementation in the world. It has become a case study with SAP, not only with SAP, with Harvard Business School, and due to that, he has visited various places. He has been awarded a lot of award due to that particular thing. And apart from that, in Hero MotoCorp, he has implemented so many other software so that their business is smooth. And if you see the Hero MotoCorp turnover in the last 20 years has maybe gone from, I don't know how much it is, but maybe 30, 40, 50 times. But IT is always an enabler for that. So I welcome Vijay Bhai.
Thank you.
To this panel. Our third panelist is Mr. Atul Javle. I'm pronouncing correctly, Atul Bhai? Okay. So Atul Bhai is, let me use the word G and Bhai. This is my value system, sanskar. I can't do away with that. He is a General Counsel, Compliance Officer and Company Secretary in India and South Asia at Schindler India Limited. It is a subsidiary of German multinational mega company. His professional exposure includes banking, NBFC, export house, manufacturing and service industry, life insurance, agro-business, and many others. Atul Bhai is a certified fraud examiner, forensic auditor, certified DPO, and certified mediator. He is a member of ICFAI Business School, CII Regulatory Committee, and ASSOCHAM IP Committee. He has featured in top 10 General Counsel GC list, awarded in-house lawyer international. Welcome to this panel, Atul Bhai.
Thank you, sir.
Our next panelist is Vasantika ji, Vasantika Srinath. Vasantika ji looks just like my daughter. She looks similar. So Vasantika is a legal expert with over 20 years of experience in the industry. Vasantika ji headed the legal and compliance operation in multiple companies such as On Mobile, Hinduja Global Solutions. Presently, she heads the legal and compliance operation in Concentrix. Vasantika is a professional with versatile interest in social psychology, teaching, and social cause. She has been implementing GDPR, and not only GDPR, but the PDPA equivalent of various countries in his company called Concentrix. So we will have an experience of what Multinational Data Protection Act implementation means. So welcome to the panel, Vasantika ji.
Thank you, Goyal ji.
Thank you. I like that. Now, before we have done this thing, we have done some homework with all these panelists. And prior to this session, we have listed some HR related privacy issues, which comes out as number 1, privacy issues, pre-employment related privacy issues. That means a person, when he has applied for a position in a company, so pre-employment related. Second is during employment related. A person is employed and he has been selected, he is working in the company. Third is ex-employee related. The person has terminated or separated from the company. What are the personal data related issue in that? The fourth thing is what was worked out was background checking data related issues. There it has got a lot of personal data. The next is people who are employees of third parties taken from third parties for an assignment on time basis or some other basis or project basis, or reverse of it. That means our employees provided with third party on assignment or time basis. Both are these called loosely body shopping or TCPS, third party contract labor. The sixth issue was temporary people engaged for specific projects such as market research or hackathon or intern. They are taken for a specific time or specific project, and they are not employees. They are just, you can say, service provider, contractor, or freelance, or part-time contractors, whatever name you want to give. And seventh issue was applicability of personal laws of more than one country. There are companies where privacy law of 41 countries is applicable. That means they have got employees working in 41 countries or collecting data from 41 countries, and that law is applicable. Next, eighth is client demanding to see personal data of employees deployed on their account or asking for a specific background check to go performed based on their requirements. The ninth is InfoSec issues requiring CCTV cameras or live webcams to be used by employees or HR is called in adverse on feasibility. 10th is biometric addressing system. There are 10 issues which we have identified. We cannot discuss all these 10 issues in this 1 hour of time. Or what we'll try to do that we'll discuss as much as possible in detail as much as possible. We'll go for details, quality, not quantity, because let HR managers or CEOs apprise that what type of issues can come when the PDPA or equivalent personal data protection bill or act is enacted. So those issues should be, they must know that thing, but we'll go for few. My first question will be to Ms. Reena Bangeri. Is it okay, Reena ji? Before the question, let me put in the background of the question. This is related to pre-employment personal data of employees. That means somebody has applied for the job or employment. I remember 40-50 years back, means I started my career in 72 with Bharat Heavy Electricals. There, when I have filled that application, it was 10 pages, and every type of data up to my grandmother and great grandmother was to be given in that. So those type of application at that time, even the application filling used to take 2 hours. So those type of applications were there, but now it is not. Now a lot of things are not there in that. Whether the person is not selected or selected, HR deals with pre-employment personal data that includes personal and sensitive data in application, testimonials. They ask copy for testimonials, whether it is soft copy or hard copy, health-related medical data, finance-related data, as data of various salaries, PF, taxes, etc., photos, maybe some other images, family data, bank-related data, aptitude test data, to describe a few. And this is not the exhaustive list. So my question to Reena ji is that what changes you see in your experience and wisdom, organization will need to upgrade themselves to satisfy PD or similar act requirements so that they comply with the requirements of the Indian Act or any other applicable personal data privacy law and do not face obnoxious music from various stakeholders such as regulator and data center. Reena ji has implemented GDPR and is a part of GPO team and doing all those things for even PDPA implementation rollout. So she is the right person to start with and answer this let's discuss this particular issue. Reena ji, over to Reena ji.
Yeah, thank you, Sir Goelji. So there are two aspects which I would like to bring up.
Yes.
As when you talk about implementing or aligning with the expectation of the Indian data protection, currently it is in a bill form. What will need to be done by organizations is that we need to establish what is the purpose for which you collect the employees' data as an organization. It has to be articulated. One of the ways to do that is provide a privacy notice to employees. You call out the purpose for which you are collecting data. That is one. Second, the entities with which you will share that data as an organization for processing. Be it vendors who are doing payroll processing or third parties who are engaged in providing services to your organization, that kind of. And the third would be your data retention. On what basis you are deciding the data retention requirements for the organization? How long will you retain it? How will you securely keep the data of the employees in the organization? What technical and security measures you will implement as an organization? All of these are critical elements to call out, and it is advised to have a privacy notice to new joinees, employees. and ensure that there is an acknowledgement. That is second. There are a lot of nuances which are called out PDPB. It is always important for organizations to ensure that those nitty-gritties and nuances are called out in the notice by giving either by giving a link to the regulation or giving a gist of the summary of the regulation so that the employee is aware of their own rights and they can exercise. There is also a need to have your reference to the the contact details of the grievance officer if you have identified. So I would say these are the type of information which as an organization when you're collecting data from employees.
Now you are collecting the data from, actually this is pre-employment. This is applicable to employee also. Employee has got some restrictions because let me tell you a incident. There was a session in afternoon at the board room where a lot of employees were there, and the boss talked something and everyone laughed. One person has not laughed. So, the boss said, "Why you have not laughed? Have you did you understood what I said?" He said, "I very well understood, but I resigned in the morning." So that means the person who is in employment has got certain restrictions, certain fear that or cultural type of thing. But this is basically related to pre-employment data. Let's say where I am collecting the data from application and other things, and the person is not employed. He has simply applied and he is not selected, or he has applied and selected also. So if he selected, there is no problem because then it will come as a employee data. But he is not selected and his data is with the company. In that case, how to deal with that person if he gives a notice, privacy notice, or he gives a notice that I want to inspect my data, I want to delete my data, although data deletion in India as per the Act of 2019 has to be done by the adjudicant. The data principal cannot ask for that. But those type of things where he can go to the DPA that, okay, my data is there and the company is misusing the data, or I don't know what type of technical controls are. So how to deal with that type of thing? Although what you said that aligning with the section of PDPF purpose of the data notice. So can we give the data notice to the pre-employee situation where the person is not employed or he is not selected? Can we give data notice to them, or can we tell them that and we will be sharing this data to this particular entity for your knowing your background, etc. That is my query.
So prior, yes, sure, sir. So prior to data collection, when you are getting a profile of a candidate who to be interviewed for a position in your company, you need to identify what is the minimal data which you would like to get from that. It could be, the email ID and a phone number to reach out to, right? And when you provide a notice to such candidates, you should identify and call out that your data would be retained only for the duration of process of interviewing, or you can say that for future references till 6 months or some period which you define, you will retain the data so that the candidate can come back for another position application. And in the organization, as per your data retention policy, you can call out that candidates who have employment, their data should be deleted within 6 months or 1 year from the time the data has been collected. That distinction can be done in the systems which you have, where you are collating and storing the data from candidates who are not employed. So there has to be a distinction in terms of what kind of data you are capturing.
That's right. Anything you want to add, Vijay bhai?
See, I'll add to that in the sense that I fully agree with what Rina is saying. It's not just in the systems, but there are a lot of times when data also passes through various emails and hard copies and this and that. So we need to also consider all that. I'll just add at this moment only that piece.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. I agree. Yes.
Okay.
Very often, since you asked, pre-employment comes from third-party vendors. people will apply through, your recruitment agents. So we have to, as a company, they need to be very cautious about how these recruitment agents and vendors also handle this data. Or you might, source it through websites. Is there, privacy is being followed? What are their steps? And you might end up being joint controller. So, how that will get handled is something very important to consider before they get into those arrangements.
What type of issues will be there in that? How to get over those issues?
So supposing we are hiring through a recruitment partner, and that person goes and say has caused some data to get breached, then initially you will become liable. You will have to then get into discovery to find out whether you had, given proper instructions, or they were working independently of you, and therefore they are, a joint controller, or are they your processor? Have you given them sufficient instructions, or you did not, and they have breached it, then you are also liable. So all these kind of issues could happen between the parties, and if there is any kind of a breach. So it is very important for the company to do due diligence of such recruitment partners, or maybe even your background services, background verification services vendor. They're dealing with all of this data. So how is the data captured? How will they destroy it? Do they really destroy it at the end of that retention period? Are you doing your homework to ensure that everything is, kept clean, and there is no breach in any way?
In any way, there has to be notice to the data principal that the company has to give a notice to data principal as per the PDPA. It has to be given that we have received your data, and what is we need your consent to use it for our purpose, or retain it, or destroy it. What a consent.
Be the part of initial privacy notice at the time of application. So that application, if they're applying through a recruitment partner, we have to ensure the recruitment partner is given an appropriate notice. Otherwise, if we are taking up as a company, you're receiving the applications, you should ensure that your privacy notice is comprehensive and covers, Reena covered all the points that needs to be covered. So all of those, points need to be part of the privacy notice.
Either the partner does it. If partner has not done it, the company has to do it.
Correct.
What do you think, Atul? Why?
Yeah. The partner may not do it if, despite our telling them, but if we have not, then we are in bigger trouble.
But if sites like Naukri.com, employment.com, or the Shaadi.com, I don't see that anyone is doing any type of privacy notice or due verification, due diligence, or those type of things. If I have not come across, maybe they may be doing.
Have to do that once the PDPA is. They will have to. They will have to.
Because as a PDPA will come, they have a data bank of, let's say, 1 lakh, 5 lakh, 10 lakh, 1 crore, but whatever their claim is, and to ask consent from that much and that big number of participants in the employment process is a Herculean task, and to keep track of it. And the DPO cannot do that thing easily, and you need an army of how many people, I don't know. You have to keep a track, you have to keep a database of that consent. Consent has to be marked in some database. Consent letter or consent notice has to be shown that, okay, it is delivered and it is received back. So that otherwise tomorrow that person will take that Naukri.com or Shaadi.com to the court or adjudication or DPA that this is what they are not doing.
They are that too substantial processors, because they are carrying significant data. So significant data processors, so controllers, so they will have to even have a DPO, and they will be regulated. So they will definitely have to get in line with all
later. But today, that's a PDPA comes a law in March, and after March, if suppose no time is given or 6 months is given, they have to do it in 6 months. Anyhow, let's see. What do you think, Atulji, in that?
Yeah, I would like to add one point. Particularly, we have covered the applications received from the third party or maybe directly and were employed. Even we find that many good companies have got HR site in where the applications are received directly. There, I think auto-generated acknowledgement, which will say that if you are not invited for interview or recruitment process, your data will be deleted after 3 months. That also will help. Now the issue is we are all waiting for the PDPA, but let me tell you frankly, till GDPR came or maybe that Supreme Court decision came, we were not very serious about the privacy. And still, actually, there is a lot of, as we have heard, Dr. Triveni sir, that we have to create the awareness. Still, the awareness is not that serious or maybe that particularly relevant. So we will have to create awareness. That's what I feel I want to add, because otherwise all good points are covered by all the panelists.
Sir, you made a very perfect point, if I may, that, and as lawyers, some of us have had exposure to privacy in other countries. So now over the years, we have understood how serious it gets. The guardian of all these employee related data is HR. And HR in India that is not exposed to global practices don't even have that appreciation. So that culture that needs to be built in has to begin with HR. So we are a long way from that level of appreciation that is required to protect employee data the way it should be.
Now the layer of onions are opening up. So प्याज के छिलके निकल रहे हैं. You are coming out really good. But in India, HR is considered to be a support function. Nobody bothers for that. Normally it is said the appreciation of ACR of the HR person is depending on that how many ACR years is spoiled. That is normally it is said कि personal manager का ACR बनेगा उसने कितने लोगों का ACR खराब किया है. So if that is the attitude and the HR controls the very critical data. In fact, most critical personal data is with HR. Okay, other functions like marketing has got a personal data of maybe some of their customers, directors, or suppliers, etc. But when it comes to HR means employees, past employees, and applicants, and maybe access to the portals like Naukri.com and others. So if they have got access to this data, and that is the real personal data. There is no other personal data apart from HR, or maybe you can say 60, 70, 80% of the personal data in an organization is that repository of HR. Other departments may not have that much personal data, apart from maybe finance department has got your bank details or something like that, but main thing is personal department. So PDPA will give a lot of upliftment to the image and responsibilities of this HR department. When I say personal department, HR department, okay, there is a difference between the two. Personal is a part of HR, but let's say for this purpose, same. So the upliftment of HR department will be very big, as let's say it was 30 years back when IT was a support function, a department sitting in the corner, generating some reports on mainframe or mini computers or small computers of that time. Atul Bhai and Vijay Bhai will definitely know this type of things which they have seen. And now IT is an enabler of the business. What has been done in Hero MotoCorp, it is an enabler of the business. Today, Tata Motors cannot sell, manufacture, or supply or support their vehicles without an IT backbone. Otherwise, they need 5,000 Munims only to take care of the accounting only. So, if IT is that enabler, what has happened to IT department over the last 30, 40 years? I've seen that thing in the last 40 years. The same thing is going to happen with HR department when this PDPA or any other, in India it will PDPA will come. Whether it will come in this winter session or after that budget session or after that rains session, whatever it is, it is going to come. Because if Prime Minister says in the morning today that we are very strong, we have a very created a robust framework of data protection, privacy, and security. That means somewhere, some down the line, it has to come. For how long they will wait? So HR department responsibility, HR department image, HR department of compliance has to increase its PDPA, and things like privacy notice, things like maintaining those notices, things like data protection, data encryption, data retention policies, then sharing of the data if they are doing it. So those things like those becomes very important. And another question comes from this: what type of SLAs and what type of agreement these HR department has to have with the service provider companies? So let me put this question to Reena ji again.
Yes. Yeah, I heard through this now. See, there are two things for an HR owner. One is that whenever it is being identified for an or an employment candidate, the owner
Your voice
of
is
the
slightly
data.
breaking. Can you come near to the computer or something like that? I
Ah.
can understand your computer may not be responding. The video is not coming. You have stop the video. That means some bandwidth problem.
Can you hear me?
Like that. Now it is okay.
No, I was saying for HR, it is important to identify data owner and a custodian. So in an organization, we need to have two roles, right? PDPSI framework talks about this, that HR in this case could be the data owner and the data custodian could be the supporting department, like your IT, who's providing security controls and so on, right? Now, in this scenario, once HR has the ownership of a record of an employee, then from implementation of perspective, it becomes pretty evident that HR has to take up the execution of these duties. In terms of policy definition, even at the org level, you say that there is a data retention and a disposal policy identified. At the end of the day, when the data record is deleted, HR will take responsibility to identify records which need to be deleted. So as long in the next coming months or years, the culture shift of ownership of data to HR should evolve. That's the message I want to give.
It will definitely evolve. Even today, for various organizations, previously it was that the data is owned by or it is maintained by IT department. Everything related is asked by the IT department. But the culture is coming, and various of my customers are now following that that culture and policies. That data is owned by the data owner, and IT is only enabler of the service provider. It's a IT is not the data owner. So all the controls, all those checks and controls, retained data encryption, data destruction, data extraction, data to provide to has to be defined by the owner of the data. The owner of the data is responsible for the data and data treatment, not the IT department. IT department will do what the owner will say.
No.
What do you say, Vijay bhai?
I beg to disagree.
Yeah.
Because this again, you have information security practitioners and we have the privacy practitioners who need to determine what are the controls, what are the checks, what is the privacy limits, what is the security requirements. The owner of the data will declare what is the data they require. These are the people who will prescribe. They will determine the importance level and requirement and purpose of the data. But the security requirements and the privacy balancing has to be performed by information security and privacy, and IT will carry out all of that.
You have answered your question. So now let Vijay bhai answer this thing, because you have answered your question yourself.
See, there's a position in all IT departments also called CISO, Chief Information Security Officer. So it is not that they are just enabling, but they are also required to ensure that the entire information of the organization is secure. So when it has to be secure, they have to put in all the processes in place. They have to put in all policies in place. They also have to ensure all the awareness is done. So it is not that only other functions will tell them that, okay, so while the ownership of data may be in some departments, so finance department could be owning the finance data, which would mean that they are the ones who are entering the data. They'll tell whether the data to be retention period is to be 7 years, 4 years, whatever, or editing, but and accountability of ensuring that those are in the systems done that way is with the IT. Just to add few more points, I think what also is happening is that whether it's pre-employment or during employment, when the data comes in, while there's a huge thing which the data is there in the system, the reality is people just forward those emails left, right, and center. So I get one CV for pre-employment. It is first marked to 40 people saying that these CVs have come in, please give your comments. And then after that, okay, I have received his or her salary things, please comment on this. So to even find where the data is, the companies need to really put in policies. And while I agree with everyone saying that the law hasn't come in, but the reality is even if the law comes in, to change the mindset of people would be the biggest issue. So because people are used to first marking a mail to 10 guys and then marking CC to another 100 guys telling them that they have done this work. And that is where all the data goes out. So that could be a big thing as to find where the data is. So companies need to start putting in policies, processes, awareness campaigns right now, irrespective whenever the bill might come in, whether in this session or monsoon session or any other session. But because this entire process in itself will take 6 to 8 months. This huge amount of technology interface that you spoke about, Rakeshji, about encryption. So encryption could be just one part, but to my mind, there are various other things that companies would need to do, and whether it is masking, whether it is tokenization. And there's a concept called IRM or DRM, Digital Rights Management or Information Rights Management, where with each information, each say CV that you get or any data that you get, you need to put in a policy whether this can be forwarded. If it is a PAN number, it cannot go over there. If it is something else, it can be shared. So I think that is where the biggest challenge in this entire implementation would come in, as to how do you change the mindset of all those people who have been used to working for last hundreds of years, where they don't even care about what data comes in, and they think that actually it is my right to get as many CVs as possible and then share it with all the guys. So I think that will have to be a major issue that will come in as we move forward.
You are right. That change management is the biggest problem or a challenge to the management. But what, as you said, that the current process of sending to 40 emails and then 40 emails sending to 500 email addresses has to change. In that case, the DLP has to be there. In that case, their data has to be at one place and people log to that portal and give their comment. So data need not to travel over. So those type of changes, technological and processes and procedural changes has to be done.
It has to be people, process, technology, all three.
Yes, everything has to be changed. But changing the mindset of people to do that thing needs a top management constant hammering that you have to do it. What do you say, Atul bhai?
I want to make maybe 2 points actually. One point is HR data responsibility of storage will shift it to IT. So storage responsibility will be IT definitely, and then CIA principle, so availability and confidentiality. But HR processes data, and they engage particularly outside vendor also, salary processing or any other kind of test assessment centers, etc., etc. So we started with SLA. So whether SLA will help us to share the responsibility currently, yes, because PDPA is not there. But PDPA, once it comes in, we will not be able to share the responsibility to the next person. As actually we heard Dr. Triveni on because cyber security and data protection goes hand in hand. So as Dr. Triveni was saying that when we go to third party goes to another third party, and then data is compromised. So that one thing I think HR's responsibility will come in, and more particularly if we cover, because the suppose say background check is another issue that we give it to the outsider. No company does a background check. Hardly, very maybe minimal companies do background. I can give an interesting example of background check. I join a company as a legal head, and I gave a consent to my background check. And the background agency, as you know, they engage another third party or low cost employees or maybe interns to get this data done. So this person who was very active went to my residence and saw that flat is in my wife's name. So he bailed the neighbor and said that whether Atul stays here or now, this will be a very big crime if PDPA comes. But I'm just telling you how the processes are defaulted, and then people doesn't know actually of privacy. Privacy still in India, we are very informal. For example, you ask me a number of Basantika. I will immediately give without asking that you can take the number. This is an informalness and confidence and trust. But where we will have to now test the PDPA, we will have to check why do you need that number? Can you not wait till tomorrow? Can you not write a mail? So that's the point actually I wanted to add. So SLA may not help us to dodge the responsibility from privacy. And HR is a department, as you rightly said, that 60-70% data. For example, employee appraisals, employee test, medical test, employee, for example, there are learning tests are there, aptitude tests are there. Many times senior employee fail 4 times. So that data is available with the HR because you are given time till you pass. Unless that you will not get certificate, but computer record that you have tried 4 times. And if that data goes out, then it's a big privacy. So this is the point I wanted to.
So yeah, if I may just jump into this. So, it is the most, I think, which is why if you look at all the privacy laws, they also talk of training and awareness. It is an ongoing requirement, not only one time, but an ongoing requirement. You're supposed to train people once every year and keep reminding them. You're supposed to ensure there is sufficient regular communication. You have, posters, you have tents, you'll put that. So the idea is to continuous reinforcement in the mind, which is when you will be able to have that culture shift. So that is and we have to not do it as a check in the box matter, but do it because we have to bring about that change in culture.
Yeah.
So
recertification can be done.
Yeah. So the first thing begins, I think, for all companies that are serious to begin with, introducing their HR teams to these concepts. And, otherwise HR very often has this management versus staff kind of a mindset. So we have to bridge that and let them understand that they are the guardians. And, there is a concept of trusteeship. You're holding that data in good faith. So you have to protect, the data and arrive at get the right balance.
That training and awareness has to start. See here,
yes.
It's mostly, which even I see in my audit, we do a lot of audits. People want simply, you just give an audit report, you have to simply sign. And we are compliant. I said, so sorry, we'll not do. We'll go as per the book. So lot of assignments, we just don't do it because people just want, I want a report tomorrow. You have to simply sign, we are compliant. I am certified. I said, sorry, it is not done. So this type of thing has to do. With PDPA coming, the HR department responsibility will be increased. It will be just like as happened with RTI Act. Initially, they were very less type of requirements. Gradually, they have gone exponentially, and a lot of people had made their careers based on that. Even we have got a chief minister of one state who is a product of RTI, and he is cleaning the rivers also and the environment of your city. So what happens, that's a different thing. But that is going to happen with PDPA also. When people will learn, people will know that PDPA is there and we have got this right, whether it is ex-employee, whether it is a person who has applied only and other person will say, hey, why don't you go to this company and send a letter, and they have to reply, because otherwise you can go to the regulator will pull them up, and you can have a you can enjoy. And in India, we really enjoy that type of fun. We really enjoy the other discomfort at whether we are getting it or not. So changing that type of culture will take time. And otherwise, cultural wise, if you see in India, we are an open society. We have never bothered for the privacy. The nukkad wala, pan wala knows more about me than I know. In my bua and all those things, aunties know more about me, mummies know more about me. Varsatinga will know what is mummy, so they know more about me than me. Even I don't know more. So that type of open society we are. As you said, if somebody wants a Vasantika's number, you will give readily, because you trust that okay, this is a norm here. As yesterday, Justice Shri Krishna was telling that in US, if you ask you are married or have sexual life, they will not feel bad. But here they will feel bad. But other things are opposite there. So here you can ask what is your salary. Nobody will bother. Maximum they will say I will not tell. But 80% people say okay, I am earning this, and they will add something to that. If he is earning 80,000, he will say I am earning 180,000. That is culture. So changing that type of culture, which is a social culture, to the corporate culture, which is being enacted by the act, is a big challenge to the organization. Can we take more questions, or I am asking Anil or Naviji?
One point before that, Goyal sir, is that
Yes.
there is a discussion going on whether HR can play a role of a DPO. So this panel discussion, can we take some views, please?
Yes, why not? Can HR play a role as a DPO or semi-DPO or sub-DPO? Like we have got collector and deputy collector, sub-collector. So HR, the main DPO, and after that a departmental DPO, or we have got CISO and BISO in various sense. We have got business information security officer, or CISO related to that specific section. So can we have that type of thing, please, Naviji? Not answer this, but you regulated this panel discussion. No, answer will be given by the panelists only. You are not allowed. You are not allowed.
No, I'll phrase it as a question. Now,
okay.
Under GDPR, we have seen that when people have common roles, the supervisory authorities have not allowed it. In Indian PDPA, however, we do not know what they will perhaps do, but they have to be employees. But if they are employees, the work of DPO is so much that one, HR will have a conflict. Okay, second, it's a question of devoting full attention. So probably somebody may endorse this view. It would be DPO can be promoted as a DPO. I mean, HR can be promoted as a DPO. That is fine. Okay, it's not that only a CISO should be a DPO or something like that. If a HR person is equally capable, he can be made a DPO. But simultaneously holding both HR and DPO may not be, in my opinion, visible. Same thing with CISO and this DPO also. It cannot be combined.
This depends on the situation. There is no hard and fast ground rule. How many employees, what type of compliance are required, what type of data they have got, whether they delete the data, whether they encrypt the data, whether the compartment of the data is there or not, whether every data is stored in HR or the data is stored in IT and HR is only owner. So what type of things it is? We cannot just generalize it. It has to be depending on the situation. So, and if it is generalized, then we as a consultants are not required. Then only a robot can do it. Since we consultants are required, Vijay Bhai required, Atul Bhai required, Vasantika required, Reena required, Navid required, Anil Tiplunka required, or Mahendra required, I am required. Why I am required? Because we analyze that situation based on their specific requirements and give the specific solution, whether it is a consulting or auditing, whatever it is. So we cannot generalize, but you can say, okay, for a bigger organization like that, a smaller organization like that, or tiny organization, SMME, like we can say that type of thing. But let's say SMME, there are 300, 500 employees. A HR person is there. That HR person can do very well HR DPO role, which will be reporting to main DPO. quite possible. I'm not saying that it is possible or not, but quite possible. So it depends on the situation. So let's have other views also, Vijay views that can HR
Okay.
will be needed a separate DPO because they control 60, 70, 80% of personal data. So will HR will be have more weightage, like Sensex
think
has got more weightage of this Reliance and other things. So HR will have more weightage on DPO.
My answer is more conceptual.
Yes, please.
What is the
Much
role
better.
of DPO? What is the role of DPO? DPO has to be an independent person who does not have a direct control of anyone who is actually looking at that data. So there could be a person in HR who's moved out of HR and made a DPO. I'm fine. But while you are part of HR, logically you cannot be a DPO because you are actually handling that data also on a day-to-day basis. So I'm more at conceptual framework. So my answer is, as
fully
HR,
agreed.
you cannot be.
Perfect.
Fully agreed. But my thing is
Because look,
whether it is a separate person or
It
whether
has to be-
I mean,
has to be
separate
separate
person as a part of DPO office, as a part of HR office, but reporting functionally to DPO.
No. Again, if you conceptually, again, going back to concepts, in case it has to be independent, he or she cannot report to HR in that case.
Agreed. Fully agreed. It is just like CISO not reporting to CISO, CIO.
Yeah,
They have
correct.
to be independent. They have to be
it's a
independent.
conflict of interest.
Absolutely, the
Conflict
right
of
word.
interest. What is your take, Atul bhai?
Looking at the penalties and looking at the legal complications required, legal can be the better person to handle the function. I'm taking a violations part of it. So I feel that legal will be the right person because he's independent also. HR does 60% data, 50% data. 30% data is with the finance because KYC documents and all. And major task will be to cure the data which is already available. New data you can put system from today, but what about the data which is available for last 10 years?
Migration
that
of the
is-
data.
Yeah. So data. So I feel that yes, HR finally HR will decide who will be the responsible person, and it cannot be 3 or 4 persons. It can be one person because responsibility has to be identified.
I'll
It is
just
not
add
HR,
I'll just add one piece. While you say 60-70% data is HR data, whatever remaining is finance data, there's another data where companies actually pick in a lot of privacy data related to people is in their sales and marketing. The customer phone numbers, Aadhaar number, number, you give me this pura detail de do for your warranty
Booking.
service, that's it. So then this amount of data is so huge that in that entire setup, HR data would look or finance data would look very small.
it depends on the company. Let's say for Hero MotoCorp,
FMCG
your customer data will be very, very high. About
Correct.
FMCG, they are selling through the malls or small shops.
Correct. So we have to
the
look
customer
from
data
that
will be less.
perspective also.
Now, so it is basically depending on type of customer. A company which are service oriented, like Maruti, Hero MotoCorp, Tata, or those type of companies, or LGs, or where white goods, they will have that type of data.
Crores and crores of data.
Yes, the banks, the customer data is valuable, which is available in dark web. I have seen that type of data when we go into that unethical hacking, but I should not do it openly. So this is what it is.
One other thing is,
Goyalji, one
Yeah.
more question. One more
Yeah.
question
Yes,
on
please
chat. Sorry, Reena, you were saying something.
no, go ahead.
ask a question. Who is asking you? Vasanthi Raj or Reena?
We
No,
need
I was, go ahead, Vasantika. I will take after
organization.
you. Yeah.
Please ask
Okay,
a
you
question,
want to read
Vasanthika.
it? Please read it. Please go ahead. No problem.
No, I was only saying that, once in this discussion which we are having now, one perspective can be taken is that identify a value to the data based on the function which we are talking about. For example, HR, or finance. If at a high level, conceptually, a value can be added to the data, and that's a different topic which I know in IDPS we are going to discuss. Based on the high value data and the custodian of that data, it can be decided at the org level as to whether that the entity or the person who's going to be playing the DPO role should be a representative of that function, or should report into the DPO's office as a representative of various functions. So I'm just giving a separate perspective that valuation of data would play a key role in defining who should be playing a DPO role.
You are right, because it's not only valuation, it is a classification, how critical it is, whether how secure it has to be kept. So all those things, mixtures will come in that. Haldiram type of mixture will come in that, and then it will be decided that what type of treatment should be given to the data. Now, Vasinteya, you are asking some questions. Please go ahead.
No, sir, I was reading out a chat from Hemanta Yeslur, who is posted to the entire panelists. It says, do really Indian organizations consider separate DPO roles for the organization? As of now, even big organizations do not consider InfoSec and quality as investment. Always they term quality and InfoSec as expenditure. Will they consider it DPO? So I can start that. So given the issues that come up with all these ransomware, malware, and data being leaked into the dark web, companies are being forced to take information security more seriously. So if they want to survive, they will have to. And if they are significant data controllers under the law, they will have no choice but to have a DPO. Even if they are not significant data controllers, depending on the quantum of data that they're processing, they will, especially the MNCs, the global organizations who have gone through GDPR, will appreciate the issues over here and end up, at least, even you may not have a separate DPO, but you will at least have someone who is performing the role of the DPO.
Agreed. See, there is my friend's client, and whose database is breached in the last 1 month twice, and 4 crore. You can just assume the name. It is there. It's a big eKYC company. 4 crore data leaked twice. It was reported well, and they are still vulnerable. They have got CISO, they have got DSO, they have got this, that, everything is there, but still they are vulnerable. So because they are not even to find where the problem is.
It is not the people who strengthen it. It is the processes and having good systems. So they've hired the wrong people. Sorry to say.
And it's not sorry. So that is a fact. And unless as an auditor, as the consultant, we can say on the face that you are illiterate, they will not understand. We have to say on the face. Anyhow, Mr. Ramesh is telling that session time is
I'm really sorry, Dr. Goyalji. It's a quite interesting session, but as you know, thank you. Sorry.
Go ahead. No problem. You have to maintain your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We have already overshoot 3 minutes, although we have started 15 minutes late due to previous session, which was very interesting. And we rarely get gems like Triveni Singh. And I thank all the panelists here. Really, we have got a lot of gems in that, lot of things come out HR. Incidentally, none of them is a hardcore HR person. We are lawyers and GDPR and PDPA, and I'm a technical auditor. But we have seen HR as a user, as a consultant. Even Vijay Bhai would have been done a lot of work on the GR software itself, or HR software itself. So we have a lot of things comes out of that. What type of things will be, what type of issues will be faced by the organization when PDPA will come, whether they are able to come or not. But at least we are able to create that awareness. We are able to discuss that thing. We are able to clear our minds that what type of issues will come based on our experience in GDPR implication, technical implementation, and general counseling or legal implication. Thank you, Vijay Bhai. Thank you, Atul Bhai. Thank you, Vasantika ji. Thank you, Reena ji. And thank myself also. And thank you, Vijay Shankar Na ji. हाँ भी कभी हाँ भी बोल दिया करो ना, विजय शंकर ना की जाएंगे. So
thank you, Goyal sir.
And thank you, Ramesh.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this opportunity.